Hey, Knolly Williams here, the business healer, and I'm back at you again with another great video. Now, this video, I'm super excited about it. It's my good friend and business partner, Fred Weaver, and he's going to share the fact that recruiting is not an event, it's actually a process, okay? Recruiting is a process, not an event. Now, you already know that I run a six-figure recruiting business, an agent attraction business. And it's super important to understand that it is a process. It's not an event. It's not just something that happened. Now in this video, Fred is going to break down the process to agent attraction, and it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to attracting agents to EXP. Now, if you like the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what techniques, tactics, and tricks that you're using to achieve success in agent attraction. Well, get out your notepad, get ready to take some notes on this one, and enjoy the video.
Facebook stalker, man, pulling down photos. I like it. How you guys doing? All right, cool. Just a real quick hello to those of you guys that are watching out there virtually. I know we got our buddy Eric Lowry's out there, Debbie in Ohio. There's a bunch of people. So I hope you guys gave a live stream link out to a couple of your generals. If not, I don't know if we're going to have to twist Curtis's arm, but this material needs to be shared with more people. Can we agree on that? Okay, cool. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit more tactical for the next 20 minutes or so. Does that sound okay? Curtis has been laying the foundation for mindset and how we need to think, and it's really important, but at the end of the day, there's some tactics that maybe some of you in the room are already utilizing, but we need to duplicate these tactics with the people in our organization if we're going to see that big growth. Those numbers grow from 125 to 500, 500 to 5,000. So we're going to go through 52 slides that Curtis put together, because when I present for half an hour, I have like one slide. So, all right, on the back of your workbook, there should be a list. This is going to be a live exercise. We're going to do a little work here during my session, but you've got 50 blank spaces, and we'll talk a little bit in a minute about what we're going to do with those people. For those of you that are familiar with James Clear, many of us in our revenue share group, our community this year, have been reading a lot of what he has to say, and he has this quote that says, if you really care about the goal, you'll focus on the system. So I love the mindset. I love the goal. We can all get excited, but at the end of the day, if you care about the goal, we also need to talk about the system and focus on it. There's a stat out there, and I got to be honest, I'm not sure that I've tracked this as well as I could have. My spreadsheet doesn't look quite like Curtis's, but what we've learned is that when you walk people through a 4-step simple process for EXP, and we'll share that here with you in a minute, 40 to 50% of the people that watch an overview video about EXP and then get on a Zoom call, or what we call a 3-way call, they're going to actually join EXP. How does that sound? Does anybody like that stat? Okay, cool. So we got to figure out how to get people on the Zoom. Can we all agree? Right? Okay, so we're going to talk about that. The more 3-way calls you do, the faster and bigger your organization will grow. Kevin, my business partner, and I had this realization. We've been at EXP now for 3.5 years, but it was about last year at this time, 2.5 years in, we realized that we had been succeeding despite a system. We had been succeeding despite having clarity on what we were doing every day. And so we committed to following a 4-step simple process that we're going to talk about. And I will tell you guys that our organization has grown faster and bigger this year because we've taught that system and we've gotten on way more Zoom calls than ever before. Kevin, I'm going to put you on the spot, but if you had to take a guess, what's the exponential percentage of more Zooms you and I did in 2021 than 2020? 50 times more, right? Because we weren't teaching this system to others last year. We were still succeeding at revenue share, but we weren't teaching this system, and our growth has absolutely grown in a much bigger way. I have no idea what these next 3 slides even mean, and since we're short on time, we're just going to go right through them. How do you like that? I told Curtis last night there was at least 8 slides I have no idea what he wanted me to talk about, so we're going to skip those. Attraction, it's not ridiculously difficult, right, especially compared to what you guys have already done. But, you know, people give up on themselves. And one of the things that I asked Curtis, he did a pretty good job this morning, but if I could just interject a little bit more about his story. he sucked in this first month at EXP. Like, he failed miserably. Some of you guys don't know that. Like, he had some really big fish on the line that he thought were going to join EXP, and he was super excited about it. And he was like, he already saw, like, man, this is going to blow up. And those super big fish, every single one of them, like the day they were all supposed to move their big mega teams over to EXP, they all backed out and didn't come. So we all look at his numbers, and we saw the chart in the first few months, and we're like, oh, that's really cool. What you guys don't know is there was literally a couple of mega teams that made up well over 100 people on those teams that said no to Curtis. But what Curtis did not do is he didn't give up on his dream, right? He kept going. And that's what I love about him, is that this guy is ridiculously competitive. So one of my favorite quotes around recruiting is a process, not an event. That needs to go on some of your like walls on your desktop computer. Recruiting is a process, not an event. Some of you guys today have asked Kevin and I some questions. I've heard a few of you chatting with other people in the room, like, what's working really well for you, right? And oftentimes we're looking for that one thing that we can just implement and it's going to work for us. But I'm telling you, this is a process, not an event. If you show up to recruiting thinking a couple of phone calls every single day is going to do the magic trick, but you're not actually following a process, or you're giving up after you hear your first or second no, you're going to struggle with this recruiting thing. So it starts with one. The most important recruit you're ever going to get is you. It was on Curtis's sheet. Like, number one, be active at EXP. What should have been there as well, Curtis, right, is like not only be active at EXP, but actually immerse yourself into EXP the first couple of weeks you're with our company. Like, the fact that some of you, not you guys in the room, I know this is the top 1%, but there are people at this company that they're trying to recruit and attract, and they don't know how to get into EXP world. They don't have Workplace installed on their phone. They can't find an answer to a simple question at EXP because they haven't fully immersed themselves in our company. Now, I'm not saying he who knows the most about EXP is the top recruiter. That's not the comparison I'm trying to make. But if you don't know about EXP, if you haven't recruited yourself, if you can't wake up every day getting fired up about this company, if you don't know some solutions that this company provides and your network and your revenue share group provides to solve other people's problem, you're going to have a really tough time selling somebody else on the opportunity, right? We got to sell ourselves first. And Kevin's going to talk a little bit about that later. All right, let's talk a little bit about the 4 simple steps to freedom. Let's see, who do I want to call on? Adam, I might have you talk for a second if we got a mic. Cool. Adam, real briefly, we're not going to go like 30 minutes deep on this, but give us a quick overview. What are the 4 simple steps that we've all been teaching and following this year?
Yeah, 4 simple steps. Make a big list. Reach out. Watch the modelexplained.com and set up a 3-way call with someone else.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you one more question. You and I didn't practice this beforehand. Tell us at least one way you could do every single one of these steps incorrectly. Like, how could somebody screw up step number 1? I'll ask you that.
Okay, so you could make the list in your head, or the list could, your definition of big could be 10.
You could do it one time and never add to your list?
You could do it one time and never add to the list. You could make the big list and not go to step 2.
How do people screw up step 2? You had some personal experiences at that in the last year and a half. I've had many personal experiences of that. How have you screwed up step 2?
Well, you could be too direct. You could be not direct enough. I think those would probably be the 2.
Yeah, right? Don't come from value, right?
You could either beat around the bush or not beat around the bush, or come from value. Sometimes, like, let's do coffee. I know you're up to something. Or too direct. I know you're up to something. I mean, it's a tricky process.
How about step number 3? What have you and I both failed at with this one? The most common mistake people do when trying to explain
the video. They send the video instead of watch it with them. I think in my opinion, is the most simplest way to mess it up. Is just or tell them you're going to watch a video, then they go, oh, just send it to me. The simplest way is reach out, like to get together with you. Don't talk too much when you reach out, and just set the appointment. And then,
who in the room, real quick, who in the room has ever sent a video out to somebody and asked them to watch it? Okay, keep your hand up if that was highly effective for you. Okay, cool, there we go. Point proved. Stop sending videos to people. Doesn't work, right? So what does work is watching a video with people, but don't tell them in advance because that's awkward and weird too.
Right.
Hey, want to get together and watch the modelexplain.com with me? I'll have some popcorn ready.
Just say, let's get together. We'll go over everything.
Cool. All right, step number 4. How's that one massively screwed up?
Well, it's screwed up if you if both people on the call are tag teaming and ganging up on the other person, or if you just don't follow a system and get enthusiastic. You can also screw it up if you're the senior partner and you answer every question as they come in. So it's a basic process. The junior partner sets it up. The senior partner runs with the ball.
Love it. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you doing that. Cool. What I wanted you guys to see in there too, and I'm not like, first of all, I think Adam is amazing at the 4 simple steps. This is why I had him talk a little bit about it. But what I want you to see, for those of you in the room that are going, how do I scale? I got 20 people. How do I grow it? You've got to get with your partners to where you guys know the system just as well. Like, it's not just you standing up here teaching it, but your people know it. I could have called on Eric. I could have called on Nick. I could have called on a handful of other people in the room. And the reason is because every single week we teach these 4 simple steps. Like, we pound this drum over and over in people's head so they know what the system is, because people need direction and clarity, right? It's not good enough just to have the dream. We got to follow the system. All right, let's go a little bit deeper. This is Casey Jiha. We are not going to watch this video because the video alone is about 40 minutes. But if you have not watched this, this is an amazing video. The first thing I love that Casey says is recruiting is not a dirty word. Many of us have like this really weird connotation around recruiting, and I highly encourage you. It'd be as simple as going into Google and type in Brent Gove plus Casey Jiha. You will find the video. It will pop up at the top of your Google search. It's not that hard. She teaches a great video on how to do the 3-way call and the 4 simple step process, and she's an expert at this, okay? It's fantastic. So I'll go into a few more details here in a minute, but we're not going to have time to watch that, of course. This is what Casey says. She says a recruiter is someone that cares enough about another human being that they're willing to sit down and have a conversation about what's going on for that person, what's working in their life and their business, what's not working, what can be improved, what are their hopes and their dreams, and then positioning themselves as the resource to help them get it. Pretty cool, right? Like, recruiter doesn't equal sleazy salesperson, all about me. It's about the other person. And this 4 simple step process is really just about that. Too many of us, when we're trying to recruit, we're trying to list off the 10 reasons we love EXP, and we make it all about us. And we fail to find out what's important for the other person, where they're at today, where they're trying to go, and then finding out if EXP in our community, our tribe, our revenue share group can help them on that path. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the next 3 minutes, okay? We're going to do a memory jogger exercise. I have 2 slides up here. I'll kind of go back and forth between them. But you guys have a list of 50 names. We're going to see who can write the most number of names on their piece of paper, okay? Because here's the deal. If we all leave this room today and I tell you to go do this, none of us will do it. The reason I know that's true is I've left rooms like this and not made the list. So what I want you to do is just listen to me in the background, but I want you to write down a list of names of real estate agents that you know that you would like to be in business with, that you think the EXP opportunity could be a good fit for, and or who you would like to partner with at EXP. These could be people that you've recently closed a transaction with. They could be people that you've worked with at another brokerage, mentors you've had that are licensed or unlicensed and want to get a license. People you've met in a real estate event in the past, a top agent in each brokerage in your market, top teams in your area. This is one of my favorite ones for Memory Jogger. Who are the people you're most scared to call about EXP? Write their names down. I'm not saying we're not going to make calls. This isn't bold for those of you that are with KW. We're not leaving the room making calls today. We're just putting some names down on a list, okay? Write down your title rep. You guys met Don earlier from Fidelity. I promised you Don and Curtis talk a little bit about who they should be in conversation with for EXP, who might be a good fit to join Curtis's team. Your title rep's a great resource. Write down other people in the industry, appraisers, attorneys, lenders, builders, investors, managing brokers. Here's a second list for you. Some duplication on here, but that's all right. Everyone you've done a deal with, agents you've networked with. Go through your phone. Who's given feedback on your listings? Who's shown your listings? Whose open houses have you been to? Social media. Who do you follow on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc.? It's the first time I've ever seen LinkedIn abbreviated in my life as LI. I figured that out. Allied resources, referral partners. We went through some of those. Whoever has the most conversations with agents wins. Just a little quote there for you at the bottom. That's fine. But I'm telling you right now, this is a huge deal, and we had this light bulb aha moment earlier this year that we had to help other people build their lists, right? So if you think just telling people to go out and recruit and call agents is good enough, I'm telling you it's not. How many of you guys run a real estate team? Like you have a buyer's agent, a listing agent, somebody on your team. Okay. Do you let those people come into your organization without a database? Does anybody? At some level, you require a database, right? Or you help them build the database, or you get it into your CRM, right? This is no different, guys. Like, we all know that our agents that join our team aren't going to sell houses to their sphere of influence if they don't have a list of their sphere of influence written down, and at some level, it's in their awareness, right? This is the same activity. It's just going on the recruiting side. We've got to have a list of people. We got to be adding to that list. We got to be looking at that list constantly, okay? So highly encourage you guys, like, build the rest of this out. Take tonight when you go home. Take some time tomorrow, whatever it is, but get at least 50 people on your list. For some of you guys, this is 50 on top of the 150 you already have. That's fine. For some of you, you may have written somebody's name down twice. Don't worry about it. The point is you want to have these lists. You got to have lists that you can work from, okay? All right, let's move on a little bit. Size of your list equals the size of your desire. If you really want this, I'm telling you, you got to make a list. Okay, another live question for you guys. Is anybody in the room that has at least 5 FLAs? You've recruited at least 5 people to the company. Has anybody ever recruited somebody that wasn't on their list? I'm just curious. Okay, a couple of us, right? Now, the majority of the people that you've recruited, were they on your list or were they off your list? Live question. On your list, right? Okay, so there's a key right there. The people in the room that have recruited at least 5 or more people are telling you the majority of the people they brought in, they had them on a target list at one time. So if you think you're going to succeed and get to 25 FLAs and get a group of 125 and build that group to 500 and build that group to 5,000 without a list, I'm telling you, you're not. I know I'm hammering on the same thing for the last 7 minutes, but I'm telling you, if you mess up step 1, step 2, 3, and 4 don't matter. Do you follow me on that? Okay, so we'll move on. We'll get into step 2 here a little bit more. Okay, so step 2, be a professional inviter. This is very similar. You know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of things you can do when you reach out. Kevin Coffin, my business partner, is going to come up here in a minute and talk a little bit about what to say, so I'm not going to go too deep into that conversation. But the thing I will say is you don't have to just call people up and say, hey, Nick, I wanted to give you a call, and are you interested in learning about EXP? Like, it doesn't have to be just about EXP. Invite them to an event that you're putting on. Bring them to something, right? Ask them if they want a guest pass into EXP World for our free commercial training that I believe is going on next week, or maybe it's this week, right? One of our partners in Colorado, Aaron Lebovic, posted on Facebook last week about the free EXP commercial symposium thing that's going on. It's either this week or next week. He had like 20 comments of people that said, I would like to know more information on that. He just made a Facebook post. He chose to invite people to an existing something rather than tell them how great EXP was. Are you following that? So Kevin will talk a little bit more about what we do when we reach out. There's direct approaches, there's indirect approaches, there's inviting. At the end of the day, we have to be bringing value and be in relationship with folks if we want to take them to step 3, okay? Step 3, not on here, but let me spend a minute on it real quick. Step 3, themodelexplain.com. There's one big screw up and mistake that Kevin and I made early on is we tried to film videos on the EXP model, and we did. We've got a lot of them, don't we, Curtis? Right? We tried to show people that we knew the model, and of course they'd want to hear from Kevin and I. That's why they were talking to us. But the problem with that is, number 1, we're not nearly as good as Brent Gove. Number 2, the model's always changing, so then you're having to update the video. It's a lot of time. But the biggest problem with you doing all the EXP presentation and explaining is you will talk too much, okay? And you will subconsciously teach the person that you're trying to bring into EXP that if they want to be good at recruiting, they too need to be good at filming videos and PowerPoint presentations and standing in front of the room and explaining EXP. Do you follow that? You're subconsciously telling them when you do that, that's the key. Adam, you had a cool conversation a couple months ago where you were talking to somebody and he was like, man, I don't know if I could recruit to EXP. And then like the light bulb went on for him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I was talking to a guy, he's a $30 million producer, #1 agent in his office, but English is not his first language. And very smart guy, but he's an immigrant. And we get through the whole thing, and he goes, I could do this. I could hit play on the video. And, you know, it was a sense of reassurance to him, even though he had a language barrier, that he could follow this process.
Follow the process, guys. Literally get people on Zooms or get face-to-face and watch the video. While we're at it, one of the reasons the video doesn't work when you send it out, people have no attention spans. Like Like I've gotten up like 7 times while Curtis is talking today. Like sitting still for me is tough. I've been in a room for 2 days sitting still as it is. We just don't have the attention span of sitting still for 30 minutes. But if you book an appointment on Zoom or face-to-face with somebody and you press play on a video, you can watch their eyeballs. You can see if they're actually paying attention. If you send it to them and they, oh, I'm busy, just send it to me. What's going to happen is they're going to go home at night, they're going to hit play, and then the family noise in the background, notifications on their computer, it's a mess. They'll never understand the entire model, okay? So that's why we hit play. All right, at the end of the video, obviously you get a pretty good sense if somebody likes it or not. There's some questions you can ask. You know, hey, what'd you like most about EXP in the video? You understood there. Do you have some follow-up questions for me? But if you're getting the sense that this person would like to take the next step and talk more, you got to take the one appointment and you got to link it to another appointment. And the next appointment after the model explained is the 3-way call. And this is the overview of the 3-way call. You clear the time, you set the context for the meeting, you edify the prospect or the non-EXP agent, you edify the senior partner. So if you're the person that scheduled the call, you edify the person you've put them on a Zoom with. You then pass it off to the senior partner. The senior partner gathers an agenda and builds some rapport with the person you brought on the Zoom. You discuss agenda items, and then you talk about what's next. That whole process takes no more than 30 minutes. When the junior partner and the senior partner understand the model, they've done it with each other before, and you're super focused. And when you do it correctly, guys, what happens is the non-EXP agent is blown away. The reason they're blown away is they expected to get on a 3-way Zoom and be sold by the senior person at EXP and told the 99 reasons they should join EXP. And when you get on and you follow this model right here, the one that Casey Jiha in that video I told you to write down and go watch, when you get on and follow Casey Jiha's whole formula in this step process, what you find is the person is blown away that you actually cared enough about them to ask a bunch of questions and find out what was important to them. Find out where they are, where they're trying to go, what the gap is, and if EXP meets that niche. So we could talk a lot more on that. We won't. There's some little steps for you. Again, these are just different people. They're teaching the same stuff, right? We all have little different twists to it. I just love Casey Jiha's approach. That's why we follow it. This is also Gene Frederick's approach as well. 15 seconds of edifying the person, 45 seconds of edifying the agent you attracted, and then be quiet. That's the process. And just so we're clear, you're not being quiet because you're inferior and you're unable to present EXP. You're being quiet because you brought everybody together to show them the collaboration that's going on at EXP, and so you don't have to do all the heavy lifting. That's what this whole thing's about, right? When you do this really well, you bring a bunch of people in, then you get to become the senior partner and teach all your people how to do this, and you get to follow the same process. So it's a really cool thing when done correctly. All right. This is Daniel Beer, little Facebook Messenger exchange or text exchange, I believe. Important for 3-way calls and Zooms. Always introduce the recruit to the upline. Give their production. Anything else that's important to them. Introduce the upline expert as Mr. or Ms. So-and-so. Gives them authority. Edify them. Build them up and how much you look up to them. Doesn't matter that you already did this privately. It's important to do in front of them. Are you seeing a theme? You're seeing Gene Frederick say to do it this way. You're seeing Rick and Casey Jiha say to do it this way. You're seeing Dan Beer and Curtis and Kevin and I say it to do it this way. We're finding success following this model, guys, okay? So it's not just like Fred's model. I didn't make this whole thing up. I borrowed this and stole this from Brent Gove. Always leave a call with another appointment. I think this is super important. Eric, let me ask you this, man. You've done some 3-way calls with me. Does it always end right then and there?
No, not at all. Yeah. We'll set up a follow-up appointment, so we leave kind of an open loop, and then we've got a reason to come back with them. That gives us a chance to follow up on that and get with them again together on what's the natural next step for them. Events have been awesome. Yeah, it does do the heavy lifting. It shares different perspectives, different voices, and I think that's the thing with the model explained too, and taking that approach. It allows the individual to experience it for themselves and see what the value proposition is for themselves instead of being told what it is.
Eric's been really good at 3-way calls over the last couple of months. Him and I have done a lot of them. He's also been really great all year long at inviting people to events. There's a key here, guys, right? You leave an appointment, you book another one. If they're not ready, that's fine. It's just not right now. Many of us weren't ready for a while. Don't give up on them. get them to an event, get them to another appointment, right? And then Calendly is a huge thing. If you're going to scale this out, for those of you in the room that are trying to grow this to thousands of people in your organization, you're going to need to have a calendar link. You're going to need to make it available to the people in your organization. You're going to need to know that some days you wake up not sure what appointments you have, and then throughout the day, all of a sudden people start booking stuff on your calendar. That's awesome. That's the residual income revenue share system working for you. Like, I enjoy the days where I'm like, oh, cool. 3 more people just booked an appointment on my calendar for later this afternoon I get to talk to. It's great stuff. All right. Use the wealth chart. I'll end with this. I think this is kind of the last of our system. This is another piece of the system. The wealth chart, I would describe it to you this way. It's a combination of both a scoreboard and a vision board. A combination of a scoreboard and a vision board. How am I currently doing, and what am I trying to create? Curtis is doing a little bit of that with you here today. We just went through a section where he asked us where we are and where we're trying to go, right? So, hey, that's the scoreboard. That's the vision board. This is something that hangs, where's it? Curtis, you've been in our office. Kevin and I have these hung right over our desks, right? I don't update mine as often as I should. Curtis updates his daily. I commit, and I'm just being honest. I mean, I probably really should update mine more often. I update mine no less than once a month. But I'm throughout the week, I'm changing FLAs, FLQAs, but I'm updating my numbers at least once a month. Curtis updates his daily. It hangs up there in his office. If you guys can't tell, like, there's a big thing up there on the board. It's pretty awesome. All right, print it out, pin it up on your wall, etc. I don't even know Dan Hillsman. I'm actually glad you put this in here, Curtis. I don't know Dan. I've talked about Dan in the past. What I love about this guy, how many of you are in the Honey Badgers Facebook group? Cool. Anybody ever seen Dan post? Okay, if you didn't raise your hand, you're in the group. Turn your notifications on or start putting something in your calendar to go in there once a day or once a week and read posts. Dan, I don't know who he is. I'm not even sure what part of the country he lives in. I don't know who his sponsor is.
He's in Atlanta. He's amazing guy. Never was really a big producer, but he just said, tell me the system and I'll do it. So everybody that, like, well, there's a reason I can't do it, he's crushed it by just using the system. And, you know, Jay was like, do you know who's going to kill it? Is Dan Hillsman. If you haven't heard of him, he books more 3-way calls than anybody. So he just did the work.
And he's accountable. Every single month I see a post in Honey Badgers with his picture of his wealth chart. It's up there. And he talks
like 700 and something people in just a couple years by doing the work.
The model works. There's a system here, right? We just got to follow it. Last piece I'll say, and I think this is maybe one of our last slides here. You know, when you're booking these 3-way calls, you know, one of the things you'll find is that I may get on a 3-way with Curtis, but the person might not be like, cool, what's my next step? How do I join? They might be like, okay, great, thanks. Those are great answers today. And you just may be kind of at a standstill. You're not sure where to go. One of the next appointments I'll book is I'll do a sort of a virtual, if you will, technology or walkthrough of all of the tools and services at EXP. This takes me 10 to 20 minutes depending upon the person. It's not even a half an hour call. It's, hey, do you have 10 more minutes, 15 minutes next week, a couple days from now, where I could get on and show you some of our virtual tools, show you our intranet workplace, show you our virtual world where you can get support, show you some of the technology, some of the marketing and things we have. I've never had somebody say no to me on this. This is just another step in the 4 simple steps process. It's a follow-up of number 4 to continue to move people forward until they're ready. That's a next steps checklist as well of just different things you can teach people and show people about the company. Brent Gove says this business is owned by the promoters. You got to be a promoter. You got to believe in this company. You got to have people you're trying to target and promote to.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hey, I want to invite you out to Knolly Coaching Club. That's right. The Knolly Coaching Club is where I'm able to teach, train, and coach you every single week to your ultimate greatness. Now you can join for just $1. Go to knollycoaching.com and I'll see you on the inside.